Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be starting today's talk on food for bone health and muscle mass. A good diet is one of the building blocks for maintaining muscle and bone health. Most of us will reach our peak bone mass before age 30, and we will begin to slowly lose bone and muscle mass thereafter. Celine will be sharing with us on how better food choices can play a part in strengthening our bone health and muscle mass. Celia graduated from Monash University with Bachelor of Science Dietetics in 2016. She has 8 over years of experience as a dietitian, and she has interest in nutrition in intermediate and long-term health. The talk today will be recorded and the video will subsequently be uploaded on Tan Tock Seng YouTube page. With that, I would like to invite Ms. Celia Jong to share with us more today. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Celia here. Okay, so we'll start today's talk on food for both health and muscle mass. Okay, we'll be going through the following content today. So we'll talk about what bone health is, and then some of the diseases or sickness related to bone health, osteopenia and osteoporosis. And then we'll talk about how diet and exercise can help to optimize bone health and muscle mass. Okay, so we'll talk about bone health. Okay, so bones, they give our body the form and shape, and it actually lasts an entire lifetime. So with that, right, it makes good sense for us to actually build up and strengthen our bones, because our bones also store minerals such as calcium and phosphorus, which also help to keep our bones strong. Okay, so for bone mass across the age, adequate nutrition is actually essential for bone health. So at 20 to 30 years of age, right? That's when our bone mass actually peaks, meaning we actually deposit more calcium into our bones than we use or lose. However, right, at the age of above 50 years old for women and 65 years old for men, we tend to lose more calcium deposits faster than we deposit back into our bone. So this is when your bone tissue loss actually usually occurs. So our body actually like regenerate our bones ever so frequently. But at the age of above 50 and above 65 for the different genders, the loss is actually higher than how much calcium is deposited. So that's where the risk of osteoporosis and osteopenia actually occurs. So in one of the best method to test for whether we have how much bone mass in the body, how much bone mass we have in the body, the bone mineral density test can help to provide a good snapshot of our bone health. So when we go for a BMD test, usually the doctors will give you back the score ranging according to the table here. So anywhere above a -1 will be normal, okay? And then if it is between -1 to -2.5, then there is a low bone mass, signs for low bone mass. So one of the important thing to take note, right, is not everyone with low bone mass, okay, for osteopenia, in other words, they will actually develop into osteoporosis, okay? So not any, like I repeat, so not everyone who has osteopenia, which is low bone mass, will develop osteoporosis, okay? It's just a risk factor, meaning, oh, you notice that you have low bone mass, so then it's time to do something about it, okay? Now above, below, is it below? So when it is, when do you get osteoporosis? So it's when the BMD scores is below -2.5, okay? Now, so what is osteoporosis? So osteoporosis means porous bones, meaning the density and the quality of our bones are reduced. If you take a look at the picture here, okay, osteoporosis means, right, inside your bones, the space is getting, the gap is getting wider lah. That means there's more space in between the bone, the walls of the bones. And it is a silent disease with no signs, so you won't know, okay, unless of course you do a bone mineral density test. And in the later stages of osteoporosis, then you may experience a bit more sign, like back pain, or people may notice that you are curving a bit more, and then hunch a bit more, and then you lose some of your height. And in the worst case, really worst case, is very easy fracture of the hip, spine, or even when you are falling down, when you're holding your fall, your wrist gets fractured also. Okay, so in a speech by Minister Ong in 2022, right, he shared that in Singapore, the incidence of the osteoporotic fractures are projected to increase by about 60%, okay, from more than 15,000 in 2017, from more than 15,000 cases in 2017 to more than 24,000 by 2035. So with this, he translated that it is going to cause a bit more of the economic and personal burden. And in a recent local study in 2019, it is found that Chinese women had a higher fracture rates than Malay and Indian women respectively. Okay, so some of the reasons could be in terms of our culture, right? For Chinese food, or generally the race, we do have a higher risk or a higher rates of patients, or higher rates of Chinese population who are lactose intolerant, and in our dishes or in our diet, we do have lesser dairy involved lah, compared to the other race. So how do we achieve maximum bone growth? Important healthy lifestyle, okay, which includes a well-balanced diet. So sufficient intake of calcium and vitamin D, sufficient intake of protein in our diet, and then ensuring that we do not take too much caffeine, too much salt, too much alcohol, and if possible, avoid smoking. And then in terms of exercise, some of the exercise that I encourage would be the weight-bearing exercise, like brisk walking and dancing. Okay, so we'll talk one area at a time. So ensuring adequate intake. Okay, so it plays a important role in our bone nutrition because it provides calcium, protein, phosphorus, magnesium, vitamin D, K, and C, which are all important nutrients for our bone. Okay, taking a look at the My Healthy Plate, okay, a quarter of the plate will be taken up by our staple, which is like brown rice or wholemeal bread. Okay, so we encourage brown rice, wholemeal versions compared to the white rice or the plain white bread. Okay, because first it gives you a good source of dietary fiber lah. Other than giving you energy, gives you a good source of dietary fiber, and then it is also rich in vitamin B, E, and minerals such as iron, zinc, magnesium, and some phytochemicals. Okay, and then another quarter of our plate will be coming from the protein sources. So they are like our meats, dairy, and soy. Okay, so what are protein good for? Okay, they help to build and strengthen our muscles and then our bones. With that, it improves our immune system, and protein actually makes up 50% of our bone volume. Okay, and it does contribute to some bone health. Protein also is a important source of phosphate, okay, which is also an important nutrient in our bone health. So when choosing protein food, it is important that you choose a calcium-rich protein food also, and then ensure that we choose lean meat over the fatty or the processed version. And if possible, always choose a lower fat cooking method. Okay, so how much protein should we take? Okay, since it's an important aspects of our bone health. So earlier I mentioned a quarter of our plate will come from protein. So in a day, we will recommend about 2 to 3 servings of protein. And seniors above 50 years old should aim 3 servings of protein daily to slow down the loss of muscle mass and muscle function. Okay, so sources of proteins include our meat, poultry, fish, nuts, soy, beans, dairy products, and eggs. Okay, so earlier I mentioned low-fat version of dairy products will be encouraged. If you are choosing meat and poultry, then choosing the lean meat version will be better than the fatty versions. And yeah, so calcium fortified soy milk would also be encouraged and recommended. Now, what are examples of 1 serving of protein? Include a palm size of meat, fish or poultry, about 90 to 100 grams. Otherwise, it's 2 cups of reduced fat milk. Okay, so 2 cups is 500 mils. About 170 grams of bean curd. Otherwise, it's a 3/4 cup of lentils or beans, 3 eggs, or 5 prawns. Okay, so these are 1 serve of protein. And every day, we are recommended to take 2 to 3 serves, okay, across the day. So you can have like maybe 2 palm size of meat for 1 for lunch, 1 for dinner, then you'll meet 2 servings. Okay, then if you have another cup of milk at breakfast, then there'll be 2.5. Or then if there's another cup of milk, if you take 2 cups of milk per day and then 2 palm size of meat, 1 at lunch, 1 at dinner, then you'll meet about 3 servings per day lah. Okay, other than that, according to our healthy plate, it's also important that we take fruits and vegetables. So that consists about half of our plate. Now, they do give us a lot of vitamin and minerals and fiber, and they do help to prevent constipation, prevent heart diseases, strokes, and some cancers. So we aim to have about 2 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruits daily. Okay, so the next important nutrient that we need to focus on is calcium. So if protein provides the structural matrix of the bone, then calcium is the dominant mineral within that matrix. So calcium fills up the bone. So adequate calcium intake is important to keep our bones healthy and minimize the risk of osteoporosis. So how much calcium is enough? Okay, so according to our age group, so teenagers generally they require a bit more because they're growing, so they need about 1,000 milligrams per day. And then as we've grown enough, adults 19 to 50 years old, then we don't really need that much calcium, so it's about 800 milligrams per day. And then subsequently above 50, because of the risk of earlier I mentioned the bone mass and the bone loss, we will recommend a higher amount of calcium. And then if you are breastfeeding or you're pregnant, then definitely you will need also a bit more calcium in your diet. Okay, so how does this translate to the amount of food we can take in a day. Okay, so if you look at this table here, okay, we aim to have about 8 to 10 stars daily. Okay, 8 to 10 stars daily. And then, so for example, 1 glass of milk, okay, 250 mils, it provides you with 5 stars, okay? So about 500 grams of calcium. Don't get confused with the protein. Early on is 1 serve of protein is 2 glasses of milk, okay? But this is a calcium now, okay? So calcium will be 1 glass of calcium, low fat, high calcium, low fat milk. It's equivalent to about 500 milligrams of calcium, so 5 stars. So let's say early on I mentioned, if we were to have 2 glasses of milk, 1 palm size of meat at lunch, 1 palm size of meat at dinner, will give you the adequate protein intake for the day. Now, if you take 2 glasses of milk, okay, across the day already, that will give you your calcium for the day also, about 1000 milligrams. So it's not that difficult to achieve lah. If you have milk, okay, and then so some of the higher sources will probably be the calcium fortified soy milk, dairy products, if not then sardines, or tofu. Okay, so tofu also is a source, and then if you can, then is calcium fortified bread, or like the cereal drinks. Now, for individuals who are lactose intolerant, okay, so yes, definitely dairy product will probably not be part of their diet because it does cause some bloating and diarrhea. So, we aim to meet the calcium requirements by other sources of calcium fortified food, like I mentioned, the soy milk or tau gua. Okay, so these are some of the suggestions that you can have in your diet lah. So like spinach, bok choy, okay, they are also quite a good source of calcium. Now, other than calcium, the other important vitamin is vitamin D. It is required for our body to absorb calcium better. So the main source of vitamin D in our country will probably be the sun, because it's free. One is definitely is free, and you don't need to take you just walking to the hawker center, for example, would probably be adequate to meet the sunlight, to meet the source. So Health Hub recommends twice a week, exposing ourselves to sunlight twice a week for about 5 to 30 minutes, anytime between 10 to 3 p.m. Okay, so the sunlight 10 to 3 p.m. will probably be the best best source of vitamin D. Okay, so and making sure that we expose our arms and legs lah. Okay, so don't need to wear the long sleeve kind. Okay, our other sources, in case maybe some of the elderly who are homebound, they can't really get out as much. Okay, so some of the food sources for vitamin D includes our oily fish, like salmon, and then vitamin D fortified margarine, okay, egg yolk, cereals. Some cereals are fortified with vitamin D, cheese, dairy products, soy milk, and milk. So putting it together, okay, so what would our meal plan look like, for example, okay? So let's say breakfast, we have 2 slices of wholemeal bread, and then with a glass of no added sugar or less sugar, high calcium soy milk. Then for lunch, according to the healthy plate, we'll have, for example, cai fan, okay, mixed rice with 2 vegetables and 1 meat, okay, then it will look like this. Okay, so we try to also avoid adding gravy, or if you can, then limit the amount of gravy lah for lunch. And then for dinner, let's say we were to have sliced fish bee hoon soup, Then we can also request for more vegetables. If can, we try not to drink all of the soup to avoid the salt intake. So like this, then we'll have adequate protein as well as adequate calcium intake for the day. Okay, so some of the factors that increases bone loss, okay? So one, earlier I mentioned we need to cut down on our salt intake. So if possible, we aim less than 5 grams of salt per day. And then in terms of caffeine, we try to reduce our caffeine intake from coffee or tea, okay, or even caffeinated soda like Coca-Cola. They contain caffeine and phosphoric acid, so that draws calcium from the bones lah. Okay, and caffeine actually decrease calcium absorption. Okay, so it does the opposite of vitamin D. Vitamin D increases absorption of calcium in the body, but caffeine decreases the calcium to be absorbed by the bones. And lastly, if you are if it is encouraged to avoid smoking and intake of excessive alcohol, okay, because they are associated with higher risk of getting osteoporosis. Okay, so after talking about diet, we are going to talk a little bit about what type of exercises can help to build strong bones. Okay, so the benefits of exercising, it helps to maintain muscle mass, increase muscle strength, it improves our balance and coordination. It helps to improve our confidence to move about independently. Now, with the increase of muscle strength and muscle mass, it also helps us to reduce the risk of falling. And then overall, it helps to improve our mood and well-being. So, Health Promotion Board recommends 150 minutes of physical activity every week. Okay, so remember, one of the tips is to really start slow if you have not been exercising. Okay, and we always need to remember that our body need to rest and recover in between the exercise workout to avoid any injury or overtraining. So some studies have shown that physical activities such as weight-bearing exercises and resistant exercises help in bone formation and help us build stronger bones. Okay, so some of the types of exercises include, okay, so I've listed the table here. So if it's endurance exercises, so it can be like jogging, swimming, okay? So 30 minutes a day, 75 minutes, 3 or more days a week, or a combination of both, okay? Then strength exercises, that is your weight-bearing kind. So you do your push-up, hold your handheld weights, okay, or using the resistant band, okay, to do exercises 30 minutes, 3 or more days a week, okay. Some examples of balance exercises include like Tai Chi, Qi Kong, or walking heel to toe, okay. And then there's flexibility exercises, that's like yoga and Pilates. Now, after exercising, okay, actually research does show like after you exercise and then you eat a protein-rich food, it helps your body to absorb the protein better to build and repair the muscles. So maybe after you exercise, some suggestions could be after you exercise, then maybe you take a glass of milk, okay, or you can have your meals after that. The protein sources is actually better absorbed. Okay, so in summary, we've talked about how we can strengthen our bone health and muscle mass today. Okay, so we try to aim for a well-balanced diet, okay, so that we get adequate calcium and vitamin D, as well as protein intake. Okay, if possible, always remember to limit our salt intake, avoid caffeine and caffeinated beverages. Okay, and smoking, avoid smoking and alcohol intake. Okay, so other than our diet, we also try to aim for having about 150 minutes of physical activity every week, okay, or within your tolerable levels if you haven't been exercising for a while, okay? Okay, so Tan Tock Seng do have online resources that patients and visitors can visit, okay? So if you want to find out more about nutrition, for example, okay, so you can go into our Tan Tock Seng Health Library, and then you click on N or search for nutrition, okay? Then under nutrition, we have some handouts, not handouts, just resources on bone health and calcium health, along with other nutrition related matters. Okay, then in terms of exercise, then it's under the E section. So there is different home exercise workout. Okay, so one importance of exercise, that's what we've covered just now. Okay, so if you need the handout or you want to look back at the resources, you can have a look there. Okay, then like for the healthy plate and the recommended dietary allowances that we talked about today, it's under our Health Hub, promoted and encouraged by Health Promotion Board. Okay, so any questions for me?
Thank you, Celia, for the insightful talk on optimizing nutrition for bone health and muscle health. If you have any questions, please feel free to type it in the chat box. Thank you. Okay, so there is a question on checking whether consuming high calcium food and supplement will result in calcium toxicity, and will hormonal replacement therapy help to preserve bone calcium for postmenopausal women? So for the thank you so much for the interest in the topic. So while we are unable to provide medical advice, Celia will try her best to answer the part on the nutrition.
Okay, so when we take in, okay, so one of the functions our body does, okay, so when we take in our food, for example, okay, our 2 glasses of milk, yes, they do contain calcium, okay, but the amount of absorbed calcium into the bones varies, okay. So there doesn't mean that if you drink 4 glasses of milk, you'll get calcium toxicity. Evidence don't show that, because our body can regulate how much calcium gets absorbed to our bones. Okay, I hope that answers the question. Oh, okay, red cargo rice, the same as red rice. Okay, let me have a look. I've not heard of red cargo rice. Is it that okay, so generally brown rice or different colored rice, right? So what we recommend, why we think that they are better than the plain white rice is because they come with the husk. So that husk around the rice grain actually provides the fiber, which results in a higher fiber content than plain white rice. Thus, we recommend that better than the plain white rice. So if you read cargo rice, let me just do a quick check, okay? If the red cargo rice comes with the husk, then yes, I will then that's yeah. So yes, so red cargo rice does come with the husk. So yes, it is the same as red rice, and yes, it is equivalent to whole grain, not whole grain, brown rice. Now, if I use supplement for calcium, is it okay? I need to watch out for. Yes, so there are some patients or people out there that cannot consume as much food. For example, if you have loss of appetite, or there is only so much that you can have in a day, for example, then your doctor might recommend calcium supplement. So then that's all right, because that's going to be where your calcium is going to be coming from for the body, the nutrients. Okay, I won't be able to answer the many forms of calcium supplement, because there's really, yes, there is a lot out there, and then which form will be best absorbed by the body. I mean, there's no evidence to show that which brand or which certain types of calcium supplement will be best absorbed. So if you can, then dietary sources will be the best. If you can take dietary source calcium from dietary sources, then that'll be the best. If you cannot, then your doctor may recommend the supplement for calcium, then follow accordingly how much calcium supplement to take according to the doctor's advice. Okay, protein page, need to flash again. We'll be sending these slides out. Oh no, okay. I will flash the protein slide. Hold on, the protein page, okay, protein page. Okay, sources of protein, okay. This is the sources of protein. And then examples of what 1 serve of protein is. Okay, and then let me have a look on. Okay, if one of the food you mentioned is raw almond. Where is the raw almond? The generally is the almond nuts lah. That's what we meant, right? Raw almond, the unsalted version. Okay, roasted can be fine. Just make sure that it's unsalted. And then not coated with anything else. So sometimes the almonds come with coated with like sugar or like a little bit of like a batter, and then they are deep fried. So those are a bit higher in calories. Is taking vitamins acceptable if one cannot have enough required protein? So okay, I don't think you can take supplements for protein. I mean, unless you're okay, there is supplements for proteins like the ones that people drink when they go to the gym. Okay, so like I mentioned, so dietary sources of protein will always be the best. Okay, then if you're unable to have a good enough appetite or hearty appetite to have adequate protein intake, then do speak to your doctor about it. Okay, so don't start taking any supplements before consulting professional advice. So that's one of the things that I usually tell my patients. Is it good to eat 1 egg every day? So the recommended intake of egg yolks is 3 to 4 egg yolks per week. That's by the Health Promotion Board. Okay, so the protein source from egg comes from the egg white, so egg white is fine. It's just more like some people might be a bit more concerned about whether egg yolk and then the cholesterol coming in, so yeah, so 3 to 4 egg yolks, 3 to 4 whole eggs per week recommended by Health Promotion Board. Otherwise, remove the egg yolk, take the egg white. How much vitamin D is required and how to know we have enough. So unless you take some blood tests, okay, sometimes if you have certain symptoms, okay, so definitely if you have lower bone mass, then sometimes the doctor will recommend to get some vitamin D blood test levels lah. Then that's when you will find out whether you have enough in the body. So generally, if you have balanced diet, you go out and expose yourself to the sun, is definitely sufficient for vitamin D. So vitamin D rich sources, earlier I mentioned, is like your oily fish, okay, broccoli. Let me check. So generally it's all the dairy items that are higher in vitamin D, so not broccoli. I mean, definitely broccoli might have certain amounts of vitamins and minerals, but if you ask me whether they are high in vitamin D, then they are not a very crucial source of vitamin D lah.
Thank you everyone for the enthusiasm, and we are happy to see so many questions for Celia. We will try to answer questions that will benefit more people in the audience. And as our Q&A is coming to a close soon in a few minutes, so the next question for Celia would be, are there any particular food that is recommended to consume more after carrying out different types of exercises?
Okay, so earlier one of my slides showed that there was some research done to show that after exercising, right, actually high protein food will be recommended to consume because it helps our body to absorb better after exercising. So high protein food will be like the current slide that's on the screen right now. So food that are high in protein includes our meat, fish and poultry, our dairy products, or our soy and beans or eggs. Yeah.
The next question is, if I have poor digestion and unable to eat the portion that you recommended, what should I do?
Okay, so I've also mentioned this just now. So definitely dietary sources will be the best. It will be our first choice in our diet. Now, if you cannot obtain it from our diet, then speak to your doctor or ask the professionals about it. And then from there, usually the doctor will give you some advice on the supplements.
There's a question on sodium. How frequent can we eat canned food like sardine, as I know it is high in salt?
Okay, our recommended dietary intake for sodium is 2000 milligrams per day. Okay, so one day we are only allowed to take 2000 milligrams, which is less than 5 grams of salt. Okay, so sodium and salt, two different units. So one thing is you can have a look at the canned food. Okay, for example, you are going to have sardine canned food, the small can of sardine today for your lunch. Have a look at the nutrition information panel, and then they will tell you that a serving or even that one can contains how much sodium. I won't be able to tell you at the back of my hand how much sodium the sardine canned food have, but try to minimize as much. So canned food generally they are quite high in salt. So if possible, get fresh, cook fresh food lah.
Adding on to Celia's response, if you were to consume canned sardine, you can choose those canned food that is lower in sodium, and you can also remove the gravy and just eat the fish as well as the bone. In view of, as we are running out of time, unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to address the rest of the questions. We do have a Chinese webinar for the exact same topic that is actually taking place right now. So if you would like, you could join us for the Mandarin webinar, and you can post the questions to Celia at the end of the webinar. Thank you everyone for joining us for this lunchtime webinar. We will be flashing the feedback form via a QR code, and we'll appreciate it if you could just take some time to send us your feedback. Thank you very much, and I hope all of you have a joyful afternoon. Thank you.